Ben, good morning, brother.
Good morning, Alex. Great to be here.
You're all the way across the ocean. You said it's 5:30 a.m. there in Australia.
It is. The good thing is I'm in your future, so I can tell you the sun's going to come up tomorrow.
I know you said, "Oh, let's do the podcast on the 22nd," and I was like, "There is no Tuesday the 22nd. Like that's not a date that exists." But it came back together for me. Well, Ben, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to over the last handful of years?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. Basically, I'm probably best known for YouTube advertising. So I have a business called Titan Marketer. We've helped, entrepreneurs from just about every walk of life generate millions of dollars in YouTube ads. An international speaker, flown around the world to speak about it. And we're pretty much in most continents except Antarctica. so, uh,
Not a lot of
so
YouTube in Antarctica?
No, not that I know of. I mean, there must be, right? But we're just not there yet. So maybe I should make that a thing. But
There you go.
but yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. We've been doing that for a long time. I think YouTube ads is well placed. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm also I have another business called Youth in Business. We teach kids how to become entrepreneurs, which is pretty fun. And I'm also into the
Mm.
mining space as well, which is kind of cool here in Australia. So, but my main focus is obviously the YouTube ads side of life. I have 4 kids, a dog. I like diving and fishing and all the other cool things in between. So
Interesting. So how did you get interested in YouTube? Because, I mean, I like YouTube, but I haven't thought to get involved in the business side of it other than, let's start a channel. That's the way I think most people think about YouTube business.
yeah, I think you'd be right there, Alex. The main thing is for me it was just Facebook ads sucked, right? So
Mm,
we were running like heavily, probably go back about 6 7 years ago. We were heavily involved in Facebook ads, like throwing a lot of money down. We were doing events where I was speaking to the tune of sort of 700 800 people an event, and we were just filling these events. And the problem I had was Facebook has just turned all our ad accounts off a couple of weeks out from an event. I'd spent near 50 grand on a venue, and I was like, "What are we going to do?" And I was flying to China like the next day. Back then, there wasn't you couldn't really use VPNs to in China to get onto Facebook ads or any of that. So we did
mm.
2 things. We hired a big agency, like a Google Ads agency, and we handled it in house as well, because if you can't run Facebook ads and you want to pay for advertising at the time, search was your only real other option, right?
Mm.
So we did that, and we ran some YouTube ads at the same time. And what happened was, when we got home from China a couple of weeks later, we basically beat the other agency and filled our rooms with sort of Google and YouTube ads. And I was like, hey, wow, this is really a thing. And
So you
it
beat
turned out,
like a professional agency and you were just like
yeah,
throwing some ads up there.
we were just throwing down, because we were very strong in the Facebook side of life, and we sort of transitioned across, and we're like, oh, we'll see what happens. And yeah, we beat them. And I was like, well, hey, there's probably something here. And from there, like, it didn't transition into showing people how to do YouTube ads. At the time, I had another business where we were teaching speakers how to sell from stage. We were running events all over the place. And yeah, COVID kind of killed that. But in the meantime, as that was sort of happening, we did really well with YouTube ads and Google ads, and people were sort of asking us how to do it, and we were kind of just this referral based agency that, like, we never marketed it. It was only for people that we knew, and it was sort of like a side thing. And then COVID come along, and it turned into a whole thing. We started training people up and doing high ticket around YouTube and Google ads. And then probably about 3 or 4 years ago, while we were still doing the whole Google suite, we noticed that 80% of all the ads that were coming, like success, were actually coming from the YouTube ads side. So
Mm.
that's where we're like, hey, let's just specialize in the YouTube ad side, and because that's where everyone's getting the results. And we just doubled down on that, and here we are today. So
And 2 questions. 1, what kind of businesses were you working with? And 2, to be clear, you're kind of stating that you think it's not because you have special skill in YouTube, you just think that that's a better advertising methodology?
yeah, so it is 100%. So YouTube ads is
Mm,
where Facebook ads was a decade ago, right? Like, all the ad platforms have what I would call an adoption curve. Everyone
Mm,
gets in at the beginning, they're super cheap, they get heaps of cool results, and then they get more expensive as time goes on.
yeah.
And hey, look, in another 5 or 10 years, like YouTube ads might not be the thing. Like TikTok might finally grow up and have good targeting, and we'll be using that, right? But for right now, YouTube is where Facebook has a decade ago. And some examples of that are like, just look at all the targeting options they're taking away in Facebook ads right now. Whereas on YouTube ads, you got some serious killer targeting. You can do things like target people by how much money they have and how much income they have. You can target people based on like what websites are going, where they've been. You can ethically steal your competitors' traffic. The targeting on YouTube is mental, and the pricing, if done properly, is better than Facebook ads.
Mm,
Obviously, depending on your niche and what you've been doing and how long you've been running Facebook ads. But the really fun thing is like in terms of reliability and scale, you can really scale YouTube ads without all the drama that you have in Facebook.
interesting.
And yeah, it's I could go on for ages, but it's just so cool. It's basically like if you think about it, if there was an adoption curve, you can really be rewarded as an early adopter of YouTube ads at the moment, as sort of getting into the platform. I mean, they even give you like $500 US just for getting started. Like, when was the last time Facebook gave you $500 just for getting started with an account? Now, they don't
Mm,
give it to you like, here's $500. It's they give you $500 in your first $1,000 for ad budget. So yeah, that's where it's positioned. I think it's super exciting, and hardly anyone there is the same size, pretty much, as Facebook, but with like less than 10% of the marketplace there. So
mm.
yeah, lots of cool reasons why YouTube.
And it sounded like you were doing a lot of speakers and events. What kind of businesses do you currently work with on that
Yeah,
side of things?
man, we've worked with just about everything you could imagine. A lot of lead gen. So YouTube ads does work really well for lead gen. So any sort of like service-based business, anything from roofers all the way to builders to carpenters to
Interesting.
lawyers, that sort of thing, like that works really well. High ticket coaches, consultants, events, that all works well too. Ecom does work with YouTube ads. You just have to have a slightly different ad, and probably use it alongside like Google Shopping and things like that. So um,
Mm.
it works in pretty much most industries, like all the way down to what's the craziest thing we've done? So many, right? So there's just been heaps of different brands and things that we've worked with, from beauty brands all the way through to high ticket coaching to events to service based businesses. Like, it really doesn't matter what your niche is. If you're already running ads, particularly if you're running ads in like Facebook or Google, YouTube ads will work for you. So that's pretty
Yeah.
much the breakdown.
Yeah, and I heard you say that you can get hyper targeted with YouTube. So when you start to talk about a high ticket item, whether it's a $5,000 coaching course or something like that, ostensibly you're going in and you're selecting people who maybe, I mean, how does YouTube know that you're like higher income? I mean, is that a question that people probably don't want the answer to?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Look, it's a scary concept. Like, how does Google know or YouTube know like how much money people have?
Well,
And
right, the
uh,
Google and YouTube connection there, so Google can see your search. So maybe you're searching for like real estate agent in my town, and does Google connect those dots and say, okay, they are looking for a house or something of that nature?
yeah, pretty much. So how it works is, obviously Google owns YouTube, right? Like, they're the same one and the same company. The cool thing with it though is, let's have a look at like what Google knows about a human. Like, they know what you're searching for. They know all your browser history if you use Chrome. I mean, that's enough to just scare anyone.
Yeah.
They know what you're buying online. They know what's in your Gmail account. They know everything that's in your Google Drive. They know what's in your calendar. They know the
Oh, yeah.
location where you go. They know every
Mm,
app on your Google phone or your Android phones. Like,
that's right. They
c-
know your location because of maps, and then also your phone has Gmail installed on it, which is probably geolocating you at all times.
yeah, it's pretty scary. I mean, they even record your voice every single time you say, "Hey Google." So it's pretty mental. Like, the amount of data they have on any particular one human is next level. And I mean, what fun fact, you can actually go into, just type into Google like, download my data that you have on me, and it'll let you download it. And like, mine was like hundreds of thousands of points of data. It's absolutely mental. So if you're ever up for being scared, like, go do that. and
Do you know if there's any way to get Google to, like, remove that data?
I don't know. I mean, as a human, this is a pretty scary topic, right?
Mhm.
As a marketer, it's absolutely like awesome
Right,
because
right.
so I'm on the optimistic end of it. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much because I was kind of just going with the flow a bit. But yeah, I'm sure there's like a I don't know, like a way of doing it or removing it or like being anonymous online. But most people just aren't that forward thinking, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, and this is where people say, "Oh my gosh, my phone's listening to me. I can't believe it. I was talking about, renting a car and then boom, I get an ad for that."
yeah.
And I've seen people comment that on Facebook ads that we've run, and obviously we're not Facebook is not passing the audio files for people's phones back to us so that we can run, protein coffee ads. But if you stop and think about all the data that you have on someone, even just like rent a car, you search that on Google and then Google passes that over to YouTube. And then, Ben, is there a way that in YouTube you can like target people who have a recent search for something?
Yeah, for sure. So, like, even if you've searched in Google search, so let's say you've searched for rent a car, you can then use that same search. Like, if you've searched that, show that person a YouTube ad. So, yes, definitely.
Mm,
But why that's really cool is because people that's intent targeting, right? For a start. So, you're actually being able to show your ad to someone who is literally searching for or has the intent to buy the thing that you want to buy. And the way we break that down, like, we got a couple of ways of breaking down the targeting, but you know, having people who are ready to buy, and that's the last step of like a three-step process that we roll. That is really cool because most people in any sales process or any ad, their biggest objection is, "Hey, that sounds really cool, but it's just not the right time."
mm,
So, being able to target people who can search or are looking for your thing or have visited websites like yours or who are in market, all of those are targeting options. You're able to actually show your ads to people who are like ready to buy. Hey, I'm ready to buy this product right now, and then
right.
they see an ad. So it's way more intent based. The other fun fact is with with search. If you're running PPC campaigns or search campaigns, they're like the most expensive click that you can spend on the internet, right? Like super expensive. The cool thing is, like, if you run a YouTube ad to this same person, it's going to cost you like 30 to 50% of the cost to do exactly the same thing. And instead of being 15 characters at the top of search, you're literally a one-to-one video where the first 30 seconds is free. So the conversion rate is mental. So if you're
Mm.
already running any form of search ads, man, you're not running YouTube ads, you're just leaving money on the table. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
was I was
great.
gonna
It's
ask
crazy good.
that. Like, let's say I had a whatever rental car business because we're using that example. If I was to go to Google and I wanted like rent a car near me, if I wanted that keyword, and instead I just waited till they got to YouTube after they searched it, what's the cost difference gonna be like for that?
Yeah, so let's say that it costs you like on rent a car, and that was the search phrase.
It's probably kind of expensive, you would have to guess.
Yeah, like, let's say it's, I don't know, $5 a click or something like that, right?
Mm.
I mean, I don't know exactly. I'd have to have a look up that particular keyword, but
Sounds reasonable
let's
to
say
me.
yeah, let's say it was $5 a click. Now, if you were to run that same, like, person searching for, like, "I want to rent a car," like, in this city or, like, today or now or whatever the keyword was, you'd be able to show a YouTube ad to that person. Yes, they would have to go to YouTube. Right? So, once they're on YouTube, they would then see that ad. So they're like, "Hey, I want to rent a car on my holiday coming up like next week," and I'm searching around, and then later on, I see like this, go onto YouTube and I see a video that's like, "Hey, you want to rent a car?" Blah 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 blah. So it's very super specific. And the cool thing is, it's only going to cost you like at least half. So let's say it's costing you $5 on Google search. You can run a video ad to that for like literally like $2 a click or something like that.
Mm.
Would
And
be the difference. So it's pretty massive.
and as stated, you're gonna get that first 30 seconds for free or
Yep,
15 and then if they hit skip, I'm not paying for that.
that's correct.
I'm
So
only getting
yeah,
charged when they click my sponsored video,
yep,
essentially.
yeah, exactly. So if they watch more than 30 seconds, then that's great because that's well, pre-roll ads. So I have to preface that. So pre-roll ads in YouTube, are 30 seconds are free. You only pay if they click, and if they skip your ad, it's free. And the question I get is, well, what if I just run 29-second ads? Won't they be free? The other caveat is if your ad ends. So if they watch the whole thing. So if you create a 15-second or 20-second ad, you're going to get charged. But the
Oh,
cool thing is, Yeah, I mean, like with Facebook, the first 15 seconds is free if you're lucky. Like if you do a 3-play ad or something like that, you literally get twice the amount of time on YouTube, which is another reason why they convert better, right? So it's
Right.
pretty cool.
And on a Google search, let's say, you're gonna maybe get 3 or 4 sponsored ads there that pop up, and I'm just gonna, like me personally, I often will scroll past those. I don't even, like, look at them.
Yeah.
So I'm not registering any level of brand recognition with your product or brand. Like, let's say you were like a car rental service that's a little different, like Turo, but instead I watch your YouTube video, then I'm like, "Oh, Turo, yeah, I've heard of that," right? Even if you don't click it or you don't end up using it there, you might have a little bit of staying power because you've actually seen the logo, and in that 30-second ad, they can explain how their business works.
Yeah, and exactly right. So, like as you say, like being in the top of search is great and everything, but not everyone's clicking. And when they do, maybe if they click, they're going to click the first 3 or 4 ads anyway. So you're one of many options,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
The cool thing with a YouTube ad is it's literally you and them. And instead of being like text based, you're a video. Like you can sell a lot in video, like way better than you can in text, right? So it's more personable. It's you can make it more about them and the particular thing that they're doing. And yeah, it works really. It just works better and it's cheaper. So we've got companies who are like spending ridiculous cost per clicks, like particularly people who are like high end service, like software company or lawyers or things like that. And what's really cool about them is they're literally getting the marketing for like half the price.
With generally a better level of conversion.
Yeah, correct.
And I think
So
that's an interesting and important point that you just stated is you're not competing with 3 or 5 different options at that point in time, because if I'm, like, searching for a rental car, I, like, get in, "Oh, I don't like that website," I back out, like, "Oh, these are expensive, this isn't even the right city," I back out, and before you know it, I've clicked all the sponsored ads, and I didn't purchase from any of those people because I'm in, like, shop mode, whereas on YouTube, you're getting someone who's not maybe in shop mode, and I don't wanna say they're more susceptible, but there you got that one-on-one conversation as opposed to, competing against a bunch of different ads.
yeah, correct.
So I heard you say that you use a lot of different industries. Are there industries you have seen YouTube just not work that well for, or has it hypothetically been
Uh,
better than other ad platforms almost in totality?
Yeah, so if someone's already running Google ads or YouTube ads, or sorry, Google ads or search ads or PPC ads, YouTube ads will work for you. So if I'm running Facebook ads at the moment and I want to move to YouTube and it's working for me on Facebook, it will work for you on YouTube. Where we find it doesn't work is where their business doesn't work with paid marketing, and that's more common
Mm.
than you would think, right?
What would be like
So
an example of that?
example of that, a good one might be like, let's go to e-com. It's very prevalent in e-com, right? Like if I've got a $20 product or something like that, or let's do a $10 product for simple math, right? I
Oh,
got a
yeah.
$10
Very
product.
very hard, very hard.
Yeah. So I've got a $10 product, and I've got to pay, 50-cent clicks or $1 clicks to play in my marketplace, like, and my margins are only $3. There's By the time I've paid for 3 clicks, it's just not profitable, right?
Mhm.
So normally when we're looking at commerce brands, we usually like, and we have a bunch of calculators. Like the first thing we do with people before they even run YouTube ads, like they jump on a call with like one of our team, is they actually run them through a process like, are you going to be profitable with YouTube ads? And you'd be surprised if some people who are spending a lot of money on marketing aren't profitable with marketing. Like it's pretty crazy. But
Oh,
anyway,
I do not doubt that at all. Because as I started to tell you before we got on, as an Amazon seller, ads are very difficult. You talked about, like, mature markets. I think Amazon ads is a very mature market, and not to say it's impossible running ads, but it's extremely difficult to have a high returning ad on a keyword that you want that you weren't going to otherwise have won in a profitable manner. So we'll often get clients, they're like, "Yeah, we're crushing it. We're doing like 600 grand on Amazon." And I'm like, "Wow, that's great. Like, that's green money. Like, how much money are you making? Like, what's your profitability like?" And they go, like, no, we're losing like $100,000 a year on Amazon." And I'm like, do you think that's like a good idea?" And they're like, I don't know. We like being at the top of the search." And I'm like, "All right, well, I like having money in my pocket at the end of the day. Call me a bad guy, but maybe let's look at this in a different way. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to make money on, Amazon ads if that is, like, what you're counting on. So, my brands don't like to hear me say that because they want me to be like, "I'm smarter than anyone else who's ever ran an ad for you, and I'm gonna get you, like, a 5x ROAS on all the keywords that you want because I have some, like, AI or program or magic trick that's in the background." Like, that's what people want you to say, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, the reality is like, look, if you want to rank for protein bar and you want to spend money on the keyword protein bar, it's like a $12 click and you're going to return like zero point 0.2 ROAS and you're going to lose a bunch of money. But if you want to waste that money, like I'll let you do it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And so where what we'll get is like, hey, very similar. Like, hey, I'm all about branding. Like I want to just get impressions and reach and all of this stuff and blah blah. And we're spending a ridiculous amount on ads. And like, yeah, we can do that. And you can lose money on ads if you want, but I'd much rather make you money. Right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah.
I'd,
So
I'd like you to stay in business long enough that you can keep on doing business with us, right?
yeah, exactly.
How
Exactly.
about
So
give me all the money right now, I won't even do the ads, and then you can just go out of business because that would honestly save us all a lot of work, like, if we were
oh man. It's more common than you would think. People chasing vanity metrics, right? So
yes.
and like I'm a really big brand, but all my money comes from retail or all my money comes from somewhere else. And I just want to be seen rather than bought or purchased, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
so we get a lot of that. So I guess the main thing is like we only want to work with people who we can actually get results for. So that's step number one. So like what we found with just coming back to that full circle, e-com is like probably the worst offender for this. And what I would say there is if your product hasn't got a lifetime value of at least $60,
Okay.
um, or have some sort of subscription product where it's like ongoing, you're going to struggle in the space of paid ads. I don't care what platform you're on. Like if you've got a lifetime value or cart value, if you will, under $50, it's going to be really difficult for you. And if you're going to come at me with drop shipping and your margins are razor thin, like don't even bother, right? Like I've got a whole video on like why drop shipping sucks for paid ads and you shouldn't do it, right? So I mean, they're probably like if like what doesn't work. Oh, here you go. Here's another thing. Affiliate marketers. They're another one
Ooh,
that just
interesting.
don't really work unless, and the caveat here is if they're in some sort of high ticket coaching, they affiliate marketing does work for paid ads. Look, it
Mhm.
may work for paid ads for you somewhere else, but from my experience of spending millions of dollars on ads, um, for the general, it doesn't really work affiliate marketing for paid ads. And I'm probably going to get some backlash on that, right? Like there's whole people out there that are like, have a laptop lifestyle and sit by the pool and the whole nonsense, right? But realistically, unless you're selling some sort of, these are the things that I've seen personally that have worked that we've run marketing for. So one is like CRMs. So
Mm,
any of your keeps, you go high levels, like any of that sort of like HubSpot, if you're like a really good provider of that, and why? Because the lifetime value over a 6 month or a 12-month period is really cool. Any sort of high-end subscription software or high-end coaching or consulting or something like that, that you've got a really good way of selling. Those two things, affiliate marketing all the days long. So,
mm.
but yeah, if you're trying to sell like a $50 gadget that's drop shipped from Alibaba, like you're just in a whole world of hurt. Like, stop now, go find a better business. So,
Yes, agree with you. If you don't have any sort of differentiating factor, I actually like hate drop shipping in total. Like I think it gives people like us who have a very large and extensive warehouse a bad name because it's like, whoa,
yeah.
I don't even have to touch the product. I'm like,
Yeah. Do you
God,
like money?
yeah. There was like probably what, like 20 kids that got really wealthy doing drop shipping, and then that market like was like crapped out
Took
and
off.
gone. But people are still like, I can drop ship on Amazon. I'm like, you're not even allowed to drop ship on Amazon. It's against the terms of service. So like, hard stop right there. So maybe talk to me about then two businesses that I'm involved in. Give me a little coaching session here. Obviously, our online sales company. So I guess you would call this high ticket because if we sell a brand partner, we're going to go sell their products for at least 12 months. And, that contract could be worth 20,000 to $2 million for us. Or, lifetime could be for some of our bigger brands, tens of millions of dollars. how would you think about marketing a service like that on YouTube? Like, what is let's get technical, like, what's my ad gonna look like? Do people wanna see my face? Am I, like, sitting in my car? Like, "Do you have a brand?" I love those. Those are my "Just got done at the gym," you know? It's like,
Yeah,
"Do these work?"
step out of your Lambo, that
No,
whole thing.
no, not no, my Honda Accord, obviously, but I love that though, that like, what is that those, like, marketers, they'll be, like, in their car, like, "I'm just in my car right now," like,
Uh, I don't know why they do it in their car. I mean, hey,
you
look,
you have to have seen those though, am I right?
I have 100%, you know, like, I mean, it may work for them. Like, I don't know. Like, if it works, like, go with it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to be like, hey, those ads never work, right? Because, man, sometimes ugly ads just work really well. So,
Yeah.
you know, so maybe it's a thing. I've personally not done it. I've never let any of my clients do it, but it may be a thing. So,
Okay.
um, so yeah, look, I mean, so let's just get really clear on what you're selling. So you're selling a like a 20,000 plus high ticket. Do you take like a percentage of the company, or like how does it work?
It's even better than that, Ben. It's too good to be true, actually. So we just
I
buy the
love
products
it.
from you at wholesale and we mark them up and sell them at retail. So we're a partner, but we functionally operate as a wholesaler. And then we're
Yeah,
gonna do everything in the background as a professional e-commerce agency. So our brands really love that model. We say the checks only go one direction.
excellent. Yeah, well, that's literally half your ad right there. So basically, look, you want to start with a really cool hook. So you know, like it may be, look, struggling to sell your product. Wouldn't it be great if someone could just buy at wholesale a massive amount of products of your product tomorrow and give you a percentage off the back end? You know,
Mm,
imagine that getting involved in the business where checks only go one way. Like whatever your hook is, like you probably already got some. I'm guessing that resonate, right?
mhm.
Now the hook's really important because that's going to be your first 5 seconds, right? So before people skip. So if you're going to spend time on it, do that. If you need to pre-qualify your clients a little, because not every e-commerce brand, I'm guessing, is your human, right?
Yeah,
So
we are white glove in nature. So if you have like a brand that you're just starting and you're still working your 9 to 5, we're just not the right person for you because we don't take any fees. So
yeah,
if I was gonna charge you 5 grand in fees, sure, again, I'll take your money, but we don't. We do all the work at no cost. We make our money when we actually are able to sell the product. So if we're a real estate
perfect.
agent, we want the $5 million listing, not the trailer.
Yeah. So you might do, you know, like at the beginning, because if you just did an ad like, "Hey, we're going to wholesale," you're just going to get every human and their cat, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
if you said something like, "Are you an ecom company that is making X amount a year, or that you know
Mm,
that is over 7 figures or multiple 6 figures?" I don't know the number, right? Whatever it is, right? Or are you an e-commerce brand that has 5 staff, whatever? Okay.
okay, yep.
Um, so that would be one way of doing your targeting. So you're only getting those people. And then in your ad, you're going to have like hooks that are very much based, like value based around what it is that you do. My favorite type of hook that happens in the first 5 seconds is a rhetorical based question that has the answer yes to it. So for example, are
Mm,
you sick of burning money on YouTube, on Facebook ads? Right. That's
mm,
a great one because the people are like, yes. So it might be like, have you got heaps of stock and you just would love to get a wholesaler? Well, yeah, I would like that, right? So that sort of thing, like they work really well because you've got them at yes at the beginning, right? So
mm,
from there, you want to move into your elevator pitch. So we got a 4 part for a long form ad. So an ad that's going to go, the sweet spot's probably like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. If you go over 3, you get charged more
mm,
in your length. So you can go over 3, like don't get too hung up on it. Your ad can work past 3 minutes. It can't be too long, but it can be too boring.
mm.
So just pro tip.
What
So
so
first thing,
can I
yeah,
ask you
you go.
a question
Yeah,
there?
man, you go.
What percentage of or maybe what is the time that most people are watching an ad before they're actually clicking? Do you see that data? Because 'Cause I'm
You
not gonna
can.
watch a 3-minute ad. If I like it, I'm gonna, like, wait 35, maybe 40 seconds and just be like, "Let me just see what happens when I click this."
Yeah, it's crazy. Some people are like want to click early, right? Like people, particularly who are busy, who don't have a lot of time, that they're going to click earlier. So we're finding like we're targeting people in high income brackets, so maybe top 10, 20% of income. That would be something you would be doing, by the way. You know, you can target people based by what percentage of they tend to click a bit quicker, right? So having this is why it's really important. Have a really good hook. The next part in the elevator pitch is you want to have some sort of authority, right?
Mhm.
So your sentence might be like, "Hey, Alexander, I do all this stuff. I have heaps of staff. We've got all the cred. Here's a whole bunch of people we've worked with, and we want to be able to show those people that we work with what you know the same thing." So mine would go something like, "Hey, my name's Ben. We worked with across a wide range of industries, generating millions of dollars in YouTube ads, and I'd like to show I help my clients do that, and I'd like to show you what I've showed them, or whatever it might be, right?"
Mm.
So that's a good segue in, because there's and as you're saying it, you might have like I'll have me speaking on stage at certain events, or I'll have like brands pop up that we've worked with, whatever. Okay, but just you need to have a bit of like, why should they listen to you in the first like a sentence or two about like why are you cool, and then after that, then you can go into your ad. And this is the story part. So you might lead into it like, in this video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to whatever. Now, this is where a YouTube ad's very different to everything else, because a long form YouTube ad needs to help people. Who would have thought? So have something that actually helps them. So you might say, hey, here's how we help, you know, ecom businesses go from 6 to 7 figures. I don't know, something like that.
Mhm.
Here's 3 steps that we do it. 1, we buy the product from you. 2, we do this. 3, we make sure that we do all the marketing and all the hard, heavy lifting and all the crap that you don't like doing, all of that, right? And that might be the ad. Or, what you need to do is find somebody who does all these things. And then at the end of the ad, you're like, hey, if that sounds great to you, click the link, book a call with one of my team. We're happy to see if this is a good fit. That would pretty much be your ad. I guess at the end of the ad, you also want to have an end screen. So you need to have like we usually say you got to sell the click. So the close at the end would be something like, hey, if you really want to scale your ecom business and get some really cool results, just click on the link below. You'll be taken to a page that looks like this. Have the page pop up, obviously, so they know where they're going next. And we look forward to seeing you on the other side. Something as simple as that. It does a few things. One, never say the words "just click here,"
Mm.
or because that's crap. You want to have like why they should do that. So sell the click. And then when they click through, like after you finish speaking, you want 10 seconds at least of like a page that looks like where they're going to go with arrows, because even now where I'm talking, you're like 3 to 5 seconds behind. So if you just close your ad off at the end, you're going to hurt your conversion rate by like 30%. So having that end
Mm.
screen at the end is really cool. Now that's like it's like a 1.5 to 2.5 minute ad. That's kind of the sweet spot there. Now, what sort of happened over the past sort of 6, 12 months is the short YouTube ads actually started to become a real thing, right? So the vertical under 1 minute ads. So your long ads, you can do them vertical or you can do them longer. Just make sure that your placements fit. So if you're going to do like a vertical ad, you could probably shoot them both ways, and because it's just going to work better. So you want mobile placement and desktop placement. I'm probably getting in the weeds a little here, but if we come back to just doing the mobile side, most ads there you are going to want to be under a minute in most cases. So because
Mhm.
that's just the psychology of people scrolling, and you've probably seen now that you can do image ads as well. So in YouTube, which is pretty cool. Like if you grab your phone right now and you like go to YouTube and you scroll, you'll see image ads. Okay,
Oh, like
and
in between videos, kinda?
yeah, so it's kind of like Facebook ads for YouTube, right? So I
Mm.
could show you, but we're on a podcast. And I think what's really cool is that they've tried a few ways to make that work. Like they had discovery ads and stuff like that. And I think what's really exciting for 2024, and I haven't spoken about this very much anywhere else, just a couple of places. I think what's really cool is the new demand gen ads that are coming out, or ad, like campaign type.
Mm.
What it basically allows you to do is have image-based ads that are in the YouTube feed, right? Which is really cool. So you can have basically what that means is we've seen some really big companies come with their Facebook ad creative that's working over there. And it's like the first time we've ever seen this happen is you can then take that ad creative and put it into YouTube ads. And you can test like it's better audiences of all the audiences you wish you had 5 years ago on Facebook, you can now have on YouTube again. But you
Mm.
can put your image ads in, and you can put short video ads, and the 1 minute video ads, they don't have to follow that same structure I was just talking about before. We're back to all the old school sort of, like attention, desire ads, or all the way back to, problem ads, big benefit ads, all the different types of just basic 1 minute script, problem, agitate, solution, solve scripts, like all of those just really quick
Mm.
ad formats that you can do in under a minute. And I think that's where it's heading. Like I think that's where YouTube ads are heading in the future. They're still going to have their long form ads, and that's going to be like, even to this day, that's going to be like a big part of your marketing plan. But where we're really seeing people get some cool results is in these new like demand gen and sometimes even performance max campaigns with like video ad placements for YouTube are working really well. And yeah, I think there's some pretty cool stuff in there that you can do. So
All right, coach me up on a second kind of type of business then. We obviously have a podcast. Having more listeners would be nice. I mean, people want to have listeners to their podcast, whether it's podcast or content or various different things. Everybody's an influencer nowadays, right?
yeah,
How would you coach something up like that? Obviously, a little different. There's not a high ticket item at the end of that. Obviously, I get it. Having a high ticket item at the end makes things a lot easier when it comes to marketing.
yeah,
Because you can, oh, well, we can run an ad that's 20 grand. And if you get one client, it pays for itself. Right. I get it.
all that usual
Yeah.
stuff.
So talk to me about something like that.
Yeah, so I think so. There's probably podcasts and lead, like like opt-ins. They're probably the bottom end, right? They're filling getting me leads that not necessarily are going to turn into a sale right now. Both of those are really, really great for YouTube ads. Obviously, the metric is not a sale; it's a lead, right?
Like a
So
subscriber or like a someone who fills out an email form and now they're on our email list, or
yeah,
they, follow us on Spotify or something.
correct. Now
What
the
would
cool
you
thing
do you have
with
any sorry to interrupt, but do you have any
oh no,
thoughts on what would be like the ideal opt-in, if you will?
yes. So we've been playing a lot with opt-ins lately. So just this will probably tie in both with your first question and your second one. So like selling high ticket, we used to send during COVID, we were doing a lot of ads straight to a book a call, like straight to a sales team. Like, hey, talk to someone now. What we found probably over the past 8 months is that's got a bit more expensive, just because the way the platforms work. So instead of being like $70 book calls, it might be like $100 or something like that. And what we've done to mitigate that is like test heaps of opt-ins on the front end. Like, what's the quickest way to get someone from like opting in for a free thing to booking a call, right?
Mm,
And what we've done there is just a very simple opt-in. Like we've actually split like long form copy versus short form copy in the landing pages, but just something as simple as like super cool headline, opt in, and then on the other side of that, instead of a webinar or something like that, have an under 10-minute video, like value-based video that actually helps people. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, don't
mm,
have here's my 5-point download on my 20-page PDF. Like, they work, but not as well as like a under 10-minute video. And you got to think, like, if they've just come from a video ad, they're probably going to want a video anyway. And then at the bottom of the page, you'll have your next call to action, whether it's, come to my event, book a call with our sales team, buy our product, whatever that is underneath the video, right? So
mm.
for example, one that we use is how to ethically steal your competitors' traffic with YouTube ads,
Saw that.
right? Pretty cool. So that's our opt-in. And we're running a bunch of split testing, but basically the best one to date is literally just that as a headline and a form. Like, forget all the other stuff. Like, we have the other ones with the video testimonials and all the stuff and whatever. We can't beat that at the moment. It's driving me mental.
Mm,
And then when they go to the other side, they've got a 10-minute video. I've got 2 videos in there, which is not. I actually need to fix my own funnel there, but under a 10-minute video, and then you'll have a call to action. So ours is book a call. Yours would be similar. Now the cost per lead on that is going to be way cheaper, like $10-$20
mm,
versus a book a call, which is going to be like $80 to $100. So this way, you're getting a lot of leads. Your sales team can bring them up at the same time. It works really well. Now, the best opt-ins that we're finding at the moment are value-based. Have to be good, right? Don't create a crap one, like something that's really good. And when they get to the other side, they actually get value. Like, they've left that experience with, hey, that did help me in some way. So
mhm.
that's really what you're looking for. Does that answer the question on the opt-in side of life?
Yeah, I guess still I would hammer down on a podcast, like what yeah, I'm not
Podcast.
selling anything yet. I mean, obviously, maybe I could sell an advertiser, like, "Do you wanna
Yeah.
advertise on a podcast?" Something of that nature.
So podcasts are really cool, particularly on the YouTube platform. Do your videos go onto YouTube afterwards,
Yes.
Alex? Yeah. Right.
Your
Cool. So,
beautiful face will be on there soon enough, Ben.
beautiful. Another one. So what I would do is, I'd probably there's two ways of doing it. Yes, you could run ads to a landing page that said, "Hey, come to my podcast, sign up or whatever." I think what would probably be better is if you promoted your podcast on YouTube. Obviously, I'm a YouTube marketer, right? But
Mhm.
any of your content that you've already got on YouTube, if you were to grow your YouTube subscriber base there, that's probably where I'd start. Now, the way you do that is with engagement campaigns or cost per view campaigns, and you're going to get like views, so under like 30-second views for under a cent. I just about guarantee it, right?
Mm.
And then you can grow them out, and you can actually have like the objective here is to get more subscribers, and you'll have earned views, like views and then earned views. So people who stay to watch the next one and the whole thing. And some people just like, I don't like it as a strategy, but some people will actually run ads on their YouTube channel just to make more money with AdSense. And that'll work well with like some niches, but not others. So the business
Can you
niche, that's
explain
not
that
going
one
to
to
work.
me? Explain that one to me. You're running ads to make more money on AdSense.
Yeah. So for example, let's say that I can get a view for like, I don't know, a tenth of a cent or something like that.
Is that like
Right.
a realistic number?
Yeah, that would definitely be a
So
realistic number. We've
let's say you and I, we take a clip of this. I don't know, when we were talking about all the data that's out there for YouTube marketers, right? That's kind of good. That's cool. You think that we could realistically get a view on that? We would clip it to you, whatever. I don't know. Does the video length matter?
yeah, it probably well, it depends on the niche. So like you'd probably run in this case because we're in the business space, the cost per view is going to be a little higher, right? So it might cost us a cent ish, right? Uh, but for example, we work with a few music brands that just wanted to get their music out there,
Mm,
and man, that were just getting ridiculous. Like that's what I was saying, like, you know, 0.1% views sort of thing. Like, and like we work with a few rap brands. It was kind of fun. We had to keep it saying like, hey, you have to actually, people have to wear clothes in your ad, in your videos. We can't
mm,
market those sort of videos, but it was kind of fun. The cool thing with that was like, some people just want like mass exposure. Like for your podcast, it's the same thing. We just want to get heaps of views, right? So in that case, growing your channel with paid YouTube ads is pretty cool because you can get views, even if they're a cent, right? And you were spending, $10, $20 a day. That's a lot of views a day, right? And you can actually set it for subscribers, like, hey, we'd like to get more subscribers. And you'll actually be able to see, like, oh, it cost me $2 a subscriber or $5 a subscriber or whatever it might be, right? To grow
mm,
your channel.
mm.
The next question I get asked with that is, oh, won't that hurt my channel organically? And blah, 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 blah. And this is where I go to war with the content guys on YouTube. And I think, to be honest, look, I don't actually know the answer to that. In some
Mm.
cases, it might. Like if your channel is used to like just growing organically all the time, and then you start throwing paid ads, I don't think it's going to hurt you in the short term. But I'd probably wait for your video to mature. So you'd probably do this after this video had been out for 3 weeks to a month. It's
Interesting.
already got most of its first run, and then you can help it grow from there.
Is
So
that because when you're running an ad and it's getting these non-organic views, YouTube's, like, not counting those or counting those even against you maybe?
yeah, I don't actually know the answer, because I'm not even going to guess at the YouTube algorithm, right?
Right.
Like I think it changes all the time. But I think if you were to wait for it to mature and then did it, it's probably going to be the safest way. And and then even then, there may be some organic YouTube people listening. It's like that's stupid. You should never do that. And that's cool if you don't want to grow very fast. Like kudos to you. But yeah, I don't see how it could hurt. Getting more views on your stuff and growing your podcast out that way, and just even just running ads to people who've seen your content. I think this is a big one, and everyone misses this. Like, if you've got a YouTube channel, you've got people subscribed and watching you, like that's where you want to run an ad straight to your podcast landing page. So, Alex, you'd be like, hey, like maybe they've watched this episode with me and you, and we're talking about YouTube ads. And then like the next day, I'm like, oh, Alex pops up. Hey, you want to join our podcast? It's really cool. We do all this stuff. Here's the button to join on Apple, wherever it is. And that's probably how I would promote the podcast, because now I've already seen the content. I've already seen you on the podcast. I'm like, yes, I enjoyed it in video. I'd really like to have it in audio. Let's do that. And I would remarket to people who'd watch the videos of your podcast, um, straight to an ad that said, "Hey, join my podcast." That's how I would do it. And on the front end of that, I would fuel that with cost per view or engagement based campaigns to just get it out to as many people as possible. So
Yeah, trust me, I would love to live in the Joe Rogan sphere where he's like, I never spent a dime on advertising my podcast. And I'm like, that's so amazing. But, you also stated publicly you made no money on your podcast for 5 years. So it's like, I don't, it sounds awesome in theory, but there's so much more content out there now. It's like very difficult to cut through that content, especially if you have quality content. There's people out there who are posting silly videos and getting lots and lots of views. So it's like, okay, well, I think I have something of value. How do I get it out there? So
yeah,
I'm certainly not against running ads for our podcast, because I think at the end of the day, like you probably feel, Ben, part of your ultimate goal is to help people. So if you can't reach them, you can't help them, and you never hit that end purpose.
yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, does that make sense though? Like running the cost per view campaigns, engagement campaigns on the content, and then remarketing them with a podcast ad. I know it took a long time to say it, but that's definitely
No,
how I do it.
not to mention, people will ask, like, "Well, how many, like, impressions is your podcast gonna get?" There's this gal that I really wanna get on the podcast. She wrote this book about Amazon, and it's, like, very I haven't read it, so I don't wanna be, out front saying I know exactly what the book says, but I get the impression it's very negative on Amazon, and it's like Amazon's bad for the economy, it's bad for this is capitalism run away, this is bad for their workers, they're abusive to their workers, all these things. I'm not putting words in her mouth, I get the feeling that's where that book goes based on
Yeah,
interviews that I've watched with her. So I invited her to come on the podcast because I was like, "Hey, I think I probably share some of those opinions, but I don't think I share all of them because Amazon has been really helpful for us building a business of 35 employees." It's like everyone's like really upset about the mom and pop grocery store in Wichita, Kansas that went out of business and they lost their 12 employees. But I'm like, "Well, hey, those employees went to Amazon and they came to us." Like unemployment is at a pretty low rate right now. It's not like no one can find a job because of Amazon. That's just like pretty simple math. Like those people went somewhere. So I wanted to get her on the podcast. She's like, "Well, what's the engagement like? And what's the plays and views?" And it would be very, convenient and easy to say, like, "Well, yeah, my last episode with Ben got 5,000 views." Like that's getting to be pretty serious.
yeah. I mean, the other thing that you can do there is, like I said, like it's not going to cost you a lot to get a few thousand views. Like if you, like, let's say you spend a couple $100 on ads, like on just in the like the YouTube side of life, you could be like, "Hey, look, my podcast reach on YouTube is X," and I'm not saying that because you're not actually lying about that. It's not organic, but you did get the views, right? So,
Right.
and you could probably book, cooler people than me
Yeah.
to talk on
Well
your
well,
podcast.
no, this has been fantastic, Ben. This is a lot of fun for me.
I'm just joking. You're all
I
good.
I get into the weeds with these things. But yeah, to your point, I don't think it's not lying because they did visit that page, but also at the same time, if I'm willing to go pay and promote my podcast and you come on, Alex is willing to pay to promote you to a future guest or a future audience member. So I think that's a win-win, that a podcaster is willing to spend their own money when, as you and I both kind of know, like this is a lost leader. Like this is not going to make money on this particular video.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this youth involvement, Ben, to transition a little bit. And thank you for so much of that. That was like a masterclass, man.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, look, if you got any other questions on YouTube, feel free to ask them. So yeah, so I mean, youth in business, that's really cool. Like that just started. My wife and I got to a pretty comfortable stage, and we were like, well, how do we teach our kids like business skills? Like, I think it's a big, massive problem that's missing in the world, right? So,
Mm,
um, And yeah, so we did. We taught my son started a herb business here at home. I taught him to go knock on doors at the age of 7,
You dog.
and yeah, I think it's the best thing ever. Like, get your kids out knocking on doors. And but yeah, I mean, from there, like we've had kids be on just about every TV and radio station here in Australia. We launched into the UK just prior to COVID. We've had kids, buy houses before they're 18, do $1 million in sales. One of our kids even wrote a book like How I Made More Money Than My Principal before I left school. I was lucky enough to write the forward to it.
That's a great
So
title.
it's a pretty cool title. The kids have won all sorts of international awards, all sorts of stuff, right? And it's just been a really, really cool experience. And I think the more kids that we can teach entrepreneurship, like if they can learn how to sell and how to market, even if they go into a job later on in life, like as long as they know how to turn their ideas into money, like they're never going to have to work for something or someone they don't like for the rest of their life. So yeah, I'm pretty keen on freeing kids from the rat race before they even get into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is like classic rich dad, poor dad. This is 101, chapter 1, where he works for the rich dad and he's like, I'm not going to pay you like an hourly wage. And the kid's like, what? I can't believe this. You're not paying me. He's like, no, look, I don't want you to fall in love with this idea of getting compensated for the hours that you work. And if you start to do this, you're going to start to get comfortable and then you start to buy things. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, I actually need this money. So, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's really, really articulated and lived out through what you're doing.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. So I mean, that's been a big passion project of ours. Like we were kind of like we was doing it in a big way just prior to COVID. The last couple of years, like it's all sort of online now, which is great. Like you can still get a whole bunch of cool stuff there. We're not doing the live events anymore. Um, but yeah, I mean, because my wife just wanted to like focus on our family at the moment because I've got 4 kids under 15 or 16 now. But yeah, we still want to get out there and sort of empower as many kids as we can to start that entrepreneurial journey. Because I think if kids can learn how business works, they're just going to be an asset to society. And I feel like that the world needs saving through entrepreneurship. I believe.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the capitalist in me that comes out, and I think if people knew how to be self-sufficient and, like we do this, the first thing we do with kids is we're like, hey, you have to do the $20 challenge. And if you want your kids to start business, this is where you'd start. Basically give your kids $20, right? And be like, turn this into as much money as you can in a
Mm.
month period. And you would be surprised what they can do. Like bake some cookies and go sell them, or go and sell a lawnmower service, or like whatever it is that you want to do. And when we first started doing this, the kids would make like a couple of $100, right, in a month, which is a pretty good deal, by the way. I was like, that's pretty cool. But these days, most of the kids will do over $1,000 in their first month off
What are
$20.
they doing differently?
They do, yeah. And this is what we say to them: do lots of things, right? Because you got to try lots of things in business before you like them. And when you're a kid, like if you make a mistake or your business idea doesn't work, like what have you lost? Nothing, right? So yeah, so they might try like a food-based business. They might try a service-based business. They might try dog sitting. That like man, I've seen kids try all sorts of crazy things. And the thing is like they might go on to online and just get all the free stuff and from their local neighborhood or a garage sale or something like that, and then go and sell it again. Like there's so
Mm.
many things that they can do, right? And we've just seen it like time and time again where kids just do over $1,000 in their first month. And worst case, I think the record at the moment is like 5.5 grand. Some kids who sold popcorn, right, in a month period. And in the end, they had to buy wholesale bags with the profits that they were making. And then, they didn't even make the popcorn by the end of the month, but they created this
Mm.
whole popcorn empire.
That's
And
amazing that they already started outsourcing production.
yeah, it's mental, and kids are just so creative. They're so much smarter than us as the adults because everything's new to them, which is kind of fun. Like, they're trying new foods. Everything at school's new. So the idea of just trying business, oh, that didn't work, we'll try something else. They don't get hung up on the failure like adults do. It's just so cool. So I guess like my key thing is like if worst case, if we could teach kids how to turn $20, even if it was into $100 within a week, which is super doable, right? We could literally end homelessness across the world and actually help have people find a way of providing value. And I think that helping them be more self-sufficient. So I mean, that's kind of the long-term goal: change the world through entrepreneurship. I think we need to start with the younger generation. So
Yeah, I love that, and it's hilarious that you talk about that $20 challenge because this is what I always said is if I became a professor of entrepreneurship, I was thinking like college age kids. This would be the first thing that I would do, and this is really vacant in even the entrepreneurial curriculum at universities. Like, that's what I studied in school. I studied entrepreneurship, and one of the things that I kinda railed against was we would always do these, like, mock business competitions.
ugh.
I'm like, we're training kids to think about business as this, like, possible future goal out there that, like, "Oh, I have to raise venture capital to do this," or, "I have to, like, get a bank loan," or all of these things, and I was always of the opinion, like, "Hey, just, like, let's start something small." Like, why do we have to create a mock coffee shop and buy the real estate, and you start sourcing the beans from Honduras? Like, let's just keep it simple. Like, to your point, like, go to a garage sale, buy something, try to flip it, because so many of those kids were super smart, but they were absolutely not cut out for that, like, little bit of hustle or grittiness necessary to actually get things rolling, and what ended up happening for most of those kids that I went to school with was they got really educated, they got their, business degree, and then they went and worked for, like, a large corporation, and I'm like, "You didn't not to say you did something wrong, but you did not accomplish the goal. You have an entrepreneurship degree and you just went on and worked for a corporation. You've literally never started a business. You've never done like even phase 1 of starting a business, which is like get something, try to sell it. So that was always a big beef of mine that, hey, give the kids 20 bucks as a professor and see what they can do with it. Because I promise you, the kids who are the smartest in the class are not necessarily going to be the kids that end up with the most amount of money at the end of that period of time. So there's a little lesson to be had there. Like, oh, like my intelligence isn't the only thing that's going to make an impact with this business. There's other factors that go into it.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right on all of the above. And what is really surprising is sometimes the kids who aren't the A students, and a lot of this is the case a lot of times, make the best entrepreneurs, right? Like, so yeah, there's a whole bunch to unpack there. But I think you're right. Like, why would you go and another thing that annoys me about university and colleges, right? Is why would you go and spend, 4 years, spend ridiculous amount of money to learn business from people who've never really started a business? Like the whole thing just does my head in. Like, why not just if you're going to learn business, like, hey, why not go find someone who's already started the business that you've already done, pay them a lot of money to show you how to do it, or ask them how to do it. And if you're a kid, most times they're going to just show you because you're a kid, right? Like, it's absolutely mental. You just get out there and actually start something and sell something. There's so many people, entrepreneurs who start up, who are just so afraid to sell something. Seriously, nothing's going to happen until you make a sale. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but
No, I was
yeah.
just kinda researching this sort of old adage that, C students start the business, B students manage them, and A students do all the work. It's kind of I don't know if it has any truth to it, but I do think that, like, a C-level student is a kid who is not necessarily just going to follow the mold and listen to every single instruction perfectly. They're like, "Hey, like, I'm gonna work hard enough to, like, get through this thing, but I don't need to be the best at chemistry in my class. That's not going to make me, like, the best person in the world." And they're willing to do things a little bit differently, and I think that our education system actually does the opposite of encouraging people to think differently. I think it encourages everyone to think exactly the same level, and I don't know what the Australian education system is like, but ours is very, like, industrialized, both through high school and college, and one of the things that I always kinda thought that was funny was in middle school, they say, "Do well in school so that you can, prepare yourself for high school," and then in high school, they say, "Do well in high school so that you can prepare yourself and get, into a nice college," and then when you're in college, they say, "You gotta work really hard and get good grades so that you can get a good job," and then when you get a good job, they're like, "Great, now you're, like, making, like, good money." It's all this, like, long-winded approach to making money, right? But I think you and I would say, "Hey, look, you can probably cut a lot of those steps out. If making money is the ultimate goal in this hard work process, let's just teach you how to make money because you don't need to learn all these additional things. Not saying that all of those things aren't important. I think you should become worldly. I think you should learn how things work. But if your ultimate goal is to get a good job to make money, you've kind of missed the boat by doing all this education and getting all of the prerequisites to go out. And now I'm ready to make money, as you would indicate. You don't necessarily always need that.
No, I think, yeah, you're 100% right. That the big thing is, um, if we have a look at where schools started, like where did this Western school idea come from? Schools in Australia, England, America, all very, very similar, right? And most of Europe, um, except for the Scandinavian countries where they've actually figured it out. But for the most part, school was actually started, the schooling system in Prussia, right? Basically Germany today. And they'd they'd lost it, the Neapolitan Wars, and they basically the Industrial Revolution was coming around, and they needed basically the concept was we need factory workers and soldiers,
Mhm.
and that's exactly the law they passed, and the rich were like losing their mind, like all the wealthy aristocrats are like, hey, we can't educate the population; they'll take our spots. So what did
Mm.
they do? They made like primary school free, high school was a bit expensive, and university and college was really expensive, so only the rich people could go there. And I don't know, man. A couple of 100 years later, we're looking at exactly the same situation, except factory workers aren't really a thing anymore. We still do need soldiers, but like that's the whole system is basically, de-educated humans to a point where they sit them in a class. And like I left school before I finished. Like I did not like school teachers. And the cool thing was life lessons repeat until you learn the lesson. I ended up marrying a school teacher. So
Mhm.
that's kind of fun. But I think the big outcome is like that's what the schooling system is. And look, my kids go to school. Like they're not homeschooled or anything, but I think Mark Twain nailed it best. He was like, never let their schooling get in the way of their education.
Yep.
And I think that's really the take home. Because when was the last time you sat in school and you did a class on how credit cards work, or how to buy a house, or how to start a business, or what is marketing, what is return on ad spend? Like they're just things you don't learn at school. So
How to pay taxes in the United States. I don't know what paying taxes is like in Australia, but
mental.
my tax return is like 200 pages. Like, how to no one, literally no human knows how to do my taxes. Like, you need a team of humans and, like, a system that you can plug all my information into. It's madness. No, but to go back to, the birth of the education system, John D. Rockefeller, he was a huge donor to the education system, and he helped create the, General Education Board, and one of the quotes that he said was, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." Not to say that Rockefeller was a bad guy, but he had his own unique needs for the education system, and he fortunately, for him, had billions of dollars that he could invest into this system to try to create people who are gonna go out and
What?
fund factories, right? And I think
Yeah.
his right-hand man had some quote along the lines of, like, "We don't want, people to be, like, seeking, things that'll make them happy, we want them happy where they are," essentially. So,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
about you? When you were a kid, did you pick up any of this finance stuff in school, or was it all after school you learned all this?
yeah. Like my family back in the day, they had a bit of a different approach. So like my dad was cool, but he was like, "You're not leaving the home until you've got like a degree or you've got an apprenticeship or something like that." And for me, I was like, none, like, how do I get out of school? So I started an apprenticeship. And but what was cool is I think I was an entrepreneur, like stuck in a system where entrepreneurship wasn't encouraged. Like I grew up on a farm, so we used to like grow things and sell them. And they were like, oh, that's nice, but don't you just want pocket money? And then,
Mm,
the other side of it was like I'd go stay at my grandma's house in the city on school holidays and things like that, and summer break and what have you. And I would literally like in Australia we have curbs on the driveway, right? And I'd go like take my spray paint and I'd spray numbers on people's curbs and just go knock on their door and be like, "Hey, I'll spray your number on your curb so when emergency services and stuff come by." It was just sort of an idea I'd heard of, and I'd go make a couple of $100 in a day, and that would be the money for my school holidays, right? So
mhm.
I think like, and I sort of did that off my own bat. And like, I know there's like some kids who are super entrepreneurial, they created $1 million businesses before they were like 20 and things. But I don't feel like I really had the support for that. because it was always like, business is risky, go get a job and go get a career, and blah blah blah. But I think if I had a bit of like and I'm not blaming my parents. I think they did the best with what they knew they had, but I think I was an entrepreneur stuck in a system. And if someone like me had have come along and said, "Hey, look, you don't have to do that. Here's a way that you can start a business," as a kid, I would have been all over that, like super fast. So, and I think like it's for that kid. It's for the kid that's like, good at school but doesn't like being there. That knows that there's probably that would like to start a business but just doesn't know how, and it's not taught anywhere. So I guess that's sort of what drives that, if that makes sense.
I think I lucked into it. I mean, in some way, that's true. But my freshman year at the college I went to, I was not there to pursue any specific degree. I was there to play soccer. So like I got the opportunity to play soccer in college, and I was like, yeah, that's my job essentially. That's my degree, if you will.
Yeah.
And I got tossed in an entrepreneurship 101 class, and things that you've hit on. They passed out a flyer very early on that said all the reasons to start a business while you're in college. You think, well, starting a business while I'm in college, that's counterintuitive. You're young, you're broke, you don't have any knowledge, who's your captive market? But those were all things they flipped on their head and said, well, you don't have any money, so you have nothing to lose. Like, you're young, so if you fail, you have plenty of time to get this all back together. You don't have a wife and kids and a mortgage and college payments that are coming up for your kids. You have a captive audience of other students. You have all these advisors around you. And I was like, light bulb just sort of went off for me. I was like, that makes so much sense. I should start a business while I'm in college. And that propelled me to complete my degree in entrepreneurship. But like I said, so many of my peers never got into business. And I started this business when I was, well, let's see, this is 10 years in business for us. So I graduated, I was 22, and I started this business basically like 2 months after. So
Wow, congratulations.
yeah, definitely. Ben, tell us about gold mining. You said you're a miner. That's but not a
Yeah.
digital miner, a real miner.
Yeah, real manner. I mean, during COVID, I had the coaching business where teacher coaches how to speak on stages, and in Australia, the lockdowns for COVID were like mental, right? Like you just could not fly anywhere. Like I was actually locked in my own state for over a year. It was just so dumb. Anyway, um, and so basically, my whole business that we had, it was doing really well. Like just had to stop because we couldn't teach people how to do stages. They couldn't fly or anything. So a whole bunch of refunds. It was a messy time.
Mm.
But in out of the birth of that drama, my cousin was like, "Hey, you want to come out and like go prospecting for gold with gold detectors and see if we can find some gold in Western Australia?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds sick. I could get down to that." And yeah, it's like literally fishing for gold. It's amazing. I hell love it. So we got into that, but at the time there was no one could hire any detectives because the hire companies were all like fully booked out because no one could travel. So I said, "Oh well, let's start a hire company." So we started a hire company that did exactly that.
You
And
just
then
can't have a hobby, can you, Ben?
no, I can't really. And
I'm the
then
same way, man. I'm the same way. My friends will be like, "Oh, I just really love, like, going to new restaurants." I'm like, "You should start a blog, and then you should visit every restaurant, like, in Columbus that is 5-star," and they're just like, "I just wanna eat at nice restaurants. That's all I wanna
yeah.
do. Please stop that."
So yeah, so we started that, and then I was out there one time with a guy who was like a tenement lawyer, and he was like, "Hey, do you know you can actually like buy the ground that the gold sits in and like secure the ground?" And I was like, "Really? That's a thing?" So then we got into that in a massive way, and now we have heaps of tenements, like golden tenements, all over Western Australia,
When you say a
and
tenement, what do you mean by that?
there's about 200 hectares usually of like
Oh,
ground that you lease off the government, and then you have the mineral rights to start mining it. So
the
it's
tenement is like a space, an amount of space.
yeah, like an amount of space. So we got a bunch of those, and we've actually just the end of this month, we just signed a mining contract with a guy, and he's going to start like bringing big dozers and equipment, and basically just build us a mini mine site, which is kind of cool. And we'll start mining gold. So I've gone everywhere from like the beginning of it to just starting to process gold on a bit of a bigger scale, which is fun. So, but
Mm.
I guess the lesson there is like, even though life might throw you a lemon or whatever, there's always a bigger opportunity waiting around the corner for you. So, and that's not really like my day to day. Like I got a business partner in that does a lot of it. I'm very much focused on the YouTube ad side of life, but it is pretty cool. Like I do like the fact that I'm very soon about to have my own mine, like literally mine site that processes gold. It's gonna be fun. So
Would gold be the only thing that you're looking for, or the only thing you would process, or if you stumble off, like, some copper or zinc or
we definitely would look at it, to be honest. I mean, who wouldn't? But at the moment, I'm pretty focused on just the gold side. I think it's pretty safe long term for us. And having got in and got like a bunch of the ground during COVID before like the gold price went nuts, like I was like, gold, like looking at the economy, like, yeah,
I'm
I'd
with
like to
you.
have more. I'd like to have more gold, but I
I'm
don't.
with
I
you.
think like storing it is difficult. So I was like, well, if I could have like the commodity where it was coming out of the ground, I think that's going to be a win. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you on the price of gold. You know, I think that with all the uncertainty and especially the US economy pulls everybody else kind of around, and I am not a strong believer in our, political systems and or our Federal Reserve. The congressman actually just, put a bill together to abolish the Federal Reserve, which is like a libertarian dream. Like, our libertarian president, Ron Paul, was like, "This is the greatest idea," and we're all like, "Yeah, get rid of the Federal Reserve." Um, but there's just so much uncertainty with our money supply that Peter
yeah,
Schiff, he loves gold. I just heard him talking all about it. He's like, "Gold prices are going up, silver's going up," and you know how Peter Schiff is if you follow any of his stuff.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure if
So I
you're in
mean,
the gold world, you do.
in your gold, what do you do? I mean, it's kind of a fun place. I mean, do I think we'll ever go back to the gold standard or any of that? No, I do not. But I think, yeah, it definitely can't hurt to have a bit of bullion around. So,
Would you ever expand internationally, or is
uh,
Australia kind of the right place for it?
I mean, for right now, like Western Australia, like the state that I live in is like half the size of the America of the US. So like
Mm.
if you got like half the land mass, like that's what Western Australia would be, but we've got like 3 million people.
Yeah, right.
So we got a lot going on here. But look, man, I'm not going to say no to international like growth. Like, sign me up. I'm up for that. So, but at the moment we're pretty good here. So
So you're in Perth. What happens like 300, 400 miles, east of you? Nothing?
300, 400 miles. You're
I'm
probably
I
halfway to Kalgoorlie,
I'm
which
I'm
is
I'm looking at, a map. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot on the map. Looks like
nah.
the Gibson Desert.
There's not a lot. I mean, if you went maybe 6 or 7 hours in, like east, you're gonna hit a town called Kalgoorlie, where it's like one of the biggest gold mining places around,
Yeah, Kalgoorlie
and
Boulder, I see.
that's it. And so yeah, so that's pretty cool. So sort of from there on like an arc up north, there's just heaps of gold in Western Australia. So
Don't give away all the secrets, man. People will be out there with their picks and shovels.
oh, they're already there, man. Don't worry. So
Well
but
well,
yeah, no, it's kind of fun.
I'm sure you know the story about the 49ers that went out west in the United States, and they found all this gold, but the adage goes that the people who made all the money were the ones selling the picks and shovels, so they're like, "You sell the supplies, like, you don't be the person out on the frontier."
Yeah, it's almost like I've got a detector hire company, which is the Pixar today, and the ground where the gold is at. So yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
Smart
So
man. Well, Ben, is there anything that you feel like, are reoccurring themes you've learned from the business owners, the businesses that have worked, that you feel like are worth talking about? For people out there listening, they go, "Oh, well, there's some things that successful business owners say over and over again."
yeah, I think there's probably different levels. Like if you're just getting started, learn how to sell. Like learning how to sell is the best thing ever. Like if you can sell your business, then you'll never be hungry and your business will always work. So that would be my first thing. And if you don't know how to sell, hire someone who does. Right, that would be the first bit. Second thing is like once you got that kind of figured out, you need some sort of system to scale. And obviously that's where we run paid ads. So getting exposure and getting yourself out there. And at the moment, I think YouTube is the big one. But like learning how to sell, just get that happening, and then like find an implement to scale. And I don't care if it's like knocking on doors or whatever it is. But until you can get out to a bigger market than just you and your smaller space. I don't care if you shoot TikTok ads or whatever, but they're kind of, I would say, the two big things. Like have a really good product, have a good offer, learn how to sell it, and then find a way to scale it. And it might be free media, it might be paid ads, whatever that vehicle is for you. Um, you don't want to be the world's best kept secret. So that'd probably be a couple of things.
Mm.
I'd definitely, like, business doesn't have to be hard. It's literally that simple. Like, find a product, learn how to sell it, learn how to scale it. That's it.
Well, one thing about scale that I think is really important that for people to conceptualize before they go into business is, can this business even scale? And a lot of people don't understand what, well, wait a minute, this doesn't work at like a larger level, which is totally fine. Like if you want to have like the best tree stump grinding service in your town, that's great. But like, is this even realistic that you could expand to statewide, to like regional, to like national? And if the answer is yes, well, what does that take to scale to that level? And
Yeah.
is that even something that you're interested in doing? Like, okay, now I have to, buy up smaller companies in every region, and then I have to brand them, and then I have to equip them with a lot of machinery. Now I have to take on like a debt position to get the machinery. Like that's a whole nother thing to be able to scale a business. And you may say straight up, like, this business cannot scale. I started a business when I was in college where we would bring live entertainment to our small little college town. It worked in my town. It didn't really work in larger cities. So if you went from a city of 20,000 people with a college, it sort of worked. I guess you could make the case like, well, you could go to every college town and every small little sleepy college town. But I'm like, well, how would that even work? I'd have to be driving around, flying around. I'd have to like create artist routes, and it just didn't scale. So understanding there are some businesses that scale a lot easier than other businesses. And to your point, if you're doing something like off a YouTube ad, clearly that's something you can sell digitally, and that will scale very nicely.
Yeah, so I think you're 100%. Make sure you got a business that can scale is the prerequisite. I guess, like, look at businesses that are already where you want to be, and
Mm,
pull apart, like, what did they do together? So,
mm,
and success leaves traces, right? Like, it's about that simple. I guess probably, like, looking back at something that's really helped me in my journey is, like, find someone who's done what you want to do and go ask them how to do it, or be willing to pay them how to do it, and
mm,
you'll just shave like decades off whatever it is that you want to do. And even now, like some of the mining stuff, I actually have no idea how some of it works because I'm just new to the industry. I'm like, how do we either hire that talent in, or how do we, like, where can we go to talk to someone who's already done that thing? And I think if you take that approach, like, you're not an island, you don't have to fix everything yourself. There are people out there smarter and better than you. Like, listen to Alex's podcast. That's a great one. He probably has all the humans on there that are amazing and do really cool stuff. Like, fill your head full of stuff that is good, that's going to help you get where you want to go.
Yeah, there was a famous speech from Charlie Munger. It is the how to guarantee a life of misery. And one of the things that he says, if you want to guarantee a life of misery, is make sure that you do not learn from anyone else. You only take away from your own experiences in life. And that's it. It's like, don't listen to anybody else. Don't watch anybody else. Don't read anybody else's stuff. Like, I only listen to what I experience. And to your point, that'll help you speed that process up quite considerably.
Perfect.
I think that's a sweet place to end, Ben. Where can people find you, find your work, find the places where you help other people with YouTube ads or various pieces of content you have?
Yeah. So look, if you're looking to connect with me, obviously LinkedIn's probably the best place. Having a name like Ben Jones, there's a lot of us out there. So I guess if you wanted to learn anything about YouTube ads, make sure you go to Titan Marketer with an ER on the end of it. So titanmarketer.com. If you wanted
Those
to
who
check
don't
out
For those who can't sift through that heavy Australian accent, that's Titan Marketer.
my Titan Marketer,
Yeah,
there you go.
Titan Marketer. I'm like, what is he saying?
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like I was just speaking in the US, and there's so many, like, things that we say that you guys don't say. It's pretty funny. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So Titan Marketer
Nice.
is where you want to go for any YouTube stuff. Youth in Business is the other one. So if you're wanting to learn about how you can get your kids to start businesses, but honestly, just give them $20 and see how they go. That's probably what I would do first.
Mm.
But yeah, we got free training and a whole bunch of stuff on both of those sites. So check them out there. But other than that, Alex, like, it's been awesome being on the podcast. Really appreciate your time today, and hopefully we've been able to, help people in some way, deliver value into their world, and really appreciate everyone's time in listening today.
Appreciate you, Ben. That was some great stuff, and look forward to keeping the connection going here.
Cool. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, man.